But last night, I want to start there because it was just a fun finish. I was pulling for Houston. They led the whole game except for 1 minute and 3 seconds, and Florida pulled it out. What was your big takeaway just from last night's game?
Yeah, I was very much looking forward to the game, and it did not disappoint, which was kind of cool because
Yeah.
a lot of times championship games don't come through the way everybody's anticipating that they will. But I thought this one did. And it really was interesting as the game was unfolding, and you could see the same narrative playing itself out, that they'd been up by so much. Florida had come back in how many? 4 of the games that they won in the tournament. And I thought, man, is that really about to happen? Because I thought Houston maybe was going to pull away with it at one point. In the
Yes.
same way I thought Duke was going to, right when they were up by 14 or whatever it was. And it just went the exact opposite way. You know what else I thought, Bryce, is when that last shot was getting ready to happen, I thought this is going to be kind of a redemption moment for the Houston versus NC State back in '83 when that long three was shot and then the dunk was made by Wittenberg. And, that was a devastating loss for Houston. I thought this is going to be sort of poetic justice that they're about to launch this three that's going to go in. But it didn't work out that way. It just doesn't always work out the way Hollywood wants it to work out.
No, because did anyone want Florida to win? I don't think so. Of course, Gator fans, but I don't think neutral fans were pulling for Florida. I mean, Clayton Jr., he was fun to watch. He put together an awesome tournament, but then he didn't have a big game last night until the very end. Because what was the difference in the game? His and ones. Because it's a 2-point win, and he had those 2 and 1. Get to the basket, finish strong, and make the free throw. So those were huge. But that final, go ahead.
Well, and just a shout out to Clayton. Obviously, he's a great player. I didn't know that much about him before the tournament just because I haven't been paying that close of attention. But he obviously stood out for just making huge shots in all the games that they won. And what I appreciated about him is as they were frustrating him the whole game, his body language didn't change. He wasn't pouting. He got pulled out of the game at one point just to clear his head and, see if he could hit reset. And, the camera was following him as he left the floor. And he just went over and sat down and got himself back together and then showed up in the game in the spots where they needed him most, just like he always did. And so I just thought that was a great little lesson for young athletes, for moms and dads out there that could grab onto that and say, when things aren't going well, don't pout. Your body language doesn't need to change. Just regroup. The game's not over yet. They've stopped you to this point, but you have another chance still to come in and do what you do. And I love that about sports, but you don't get to see it if you melt down.
That's right.
If you start showing the world that you're frustrated and, you're feeling insecure because you're not having a good game. And so you start acting out in different ways. And it's like, no, that's not the way to go about it. Just regroup and keep grinding. And Clayton did that.
He stayed in it. Of course, he hit the huge three. But going back to the final play, I mean, we've never seen that. Where you bounce the ball and you can't get the shot off. That's never happened in a final shot like that, especially in a championship game. I mean, that was unbelievable.
It was unbelievable. And again, it was Clayton that came out and played defense. So he didn't do what he had done, the whole game offensively, but he made just a humongous play defensively to help win the game for his team, which again, cool moment for him.
That the defense won the game for Florida, which is awesome. And it's funny, I did a podcast a few weeks ago just talking about how the NBA has gone so heavy on the 3-point shot. And it's just basketball is all about the 3 these days. And what's been awesome about this tournament, yes, people shoot threes, and threes are great. It's part of the game. But the fact that these final 4 teams were so focused on defense and toughness, and on last week's show, we talked about, these all 4 teams were tough. And then we saw it take place in the Final Four, in the championship game. Houston was tough the whole night, and they played great defense, unbelievable defense. And then Florida did too. And I just appreciate that. I respect that. And so people can question and criticize the game of basketball today, NBA, college basketball. Things have changed and all that. But man, it was like a flashback for me just to see good, solid basketball. The top teams rose to the top. Florida was the best team. They were the best team. To win the SEC tournament and then to get hot and go into the NCAA tournament, this was a good winner, and they did it with some defense too, which is cool.
They definitely deserved it. And you look at what happened with Houston and turning the ball over the last 2 times they had it, but it wasn't like they were sloppy turnovers. It was because the defense made them incredibly uncomfortable.
Yes.
It wasn't just chucking the ball out of bounds or mishandling the ball. It's a drive in and guys are collapsing on the driver and knocking the ball off his leg. It's, that last shot. He didn't have any reason to think Clayton was going to be out there 28 feet with him and already up in the air ready to block the shot. So, yeah, to your point, defense, well, you didn't say it, but defense wins championships.
It's true.
That's been put on a T-shirt and a bumper sticker or two through the years, hasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
And it was true again. It was true again last night.